Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser.
I'd like to talk about London Bridge. How many people are aware in the Australian government about London Bridge?
Well, Senator, I can tell you from my perspective that our office, of course, is in contact with Buckingham Palace and...
So the Office of the Governor-General is aware of London Bridge. Who else is aware of London Bridge?
Well, Senator, that the terminology that you refer to...
Senator Wong, you're stealing my thunder. But this is a very important point. Sorry.
Senator, I assume you're referring to the issues surrounding the possible demise of the Queen, the eventual demise of the Queen.
Ooh, I think not the right choice of words, Mr. Fraser, but in all seriousness, there was an article in the Australian newspaper which talked about the secret plans that had been obtained by the Weekend Australian in regards to arrangements for London Bridge, which is the code name given to the passing of the Queen. So who's aware in Australia of the plans and circumstances and protocols around London Bridge?
Well, Senator, I wouldn't be using the terminology London Bridge myself. However...
That's how it's described in the...
It may well have been. I'm aware of the press reporting. What I can say is that my office is in contact with Buckingham Palace, and as you might expect, we have plans in place for such an eventuality. And my colleagues at government houses across Australia have had discussions both with myself and with Sir Christopher Guite, the Queen's Principal Private Secretary.
Yep, that's in the article.
On these issues. And my colleagues in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, I work with closely, equally on these issues.
So the official secretaries to state governors, and I'm assuming administrators in the Territory, in the Northern Territory, the Office of the Governor-General,
yes,
and officials in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet are the only people in Australia that know about the secret plans, to quote from the Australian newspaper story. Is that correct?
Well, Senator, again, I wouldn't use that terminology.
No.
These plans are certainly
So, Mr.
known.
Fraser, I'm quoting from the Australian newspaper, which says these secret plans obtained by the Weekend Australian.
Well, Senator, I wouldn't describe them as secret plans. They are, of course, sensitive because of the subject matter, and they're being dealt with very sensitively within the bureaucracy.
So, how many people know that the Governor-General considers it appropriate, and again I'm quoting from the article, that he makes the first formal public announcement of the Queen's death in Australia?
Well, Senator, I don't intend to go to the detail of how the Governor-General might mark or might...
But to quote from the article, the Weekend Australian can reveal that the Governor-General considers it appropriate that he makes the first formal public announcement of the Queen's death in Australia.
Well, Senator, a lot of people might think that that would be a natural and normal thing for the Governor-General to do. However, in
only
the context
those like
of
ourselves paying close attention to these things, Mr. Fraser.
Yeah, of course, in relation to these particular plans, I wouldn't wish to publicly discuss the nature of any planning.
Not
that's in
necessary,
place.
because the Australian newspaper published them. Who else would know that Mr. Turnbull and Mr. Abbott have each been briefed more than once on these arrangements?
I wouldn't know, Senator. I have no involvement in briefing the Prime Minister.
And who would it be that has drafted the speech for the Prime Minister?
Again, Senator, nothing I could comment on.
Finally, it says that the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet has advised that upon accession to the throne, the wife of the King Regent automatically becomes the Queen, etc., etc., etc. So, of the limited number of people that know about these secret plans, to quote the Weekend Australian, can you assure me that these arrangements did not come from Government House?
Absolutely, Senator.
Thank you.